I'm Ben Winslow at St. Mark's Cathedral in Salt Lake City. A state lawmaker is proposing what's called a homeless bill of rights, giving unsheltered people some protections on the streets. Volunteers set up a space for people experiencing homelessness to get out of the cold. It's a little break for people who say they're constantly being told to move on.
It's cold, we're supposed to be able to stay warm, but then you're constantly moving us on at odd hours.
A new bill being introduced in the legislature would offer unsheltered people some protections. Its sponsor calls it a homeless bill of rights.
Those specific rights include the right to be safe in your own property and effects, the right to have your own personal information protected, the right to vote and to register to vote if you don't have an address, the right to equal access to public spaces, the right to be free from discrimination from government entities, and the right to be free from discrimination from employment for not having a physical address.
Representative-elect Grant Amjad Miller insists it's not a free pass to commit a crime or abuse a public space, but one provision of his bill would be the ability for someone to lawyer up and possibly sue over a homeless camp abatement.
You have to get a warrant to come to your house and get your property. It's different when you're looking at homeless mitigation. For example, when you see homeless abatements in the park, sometimes those are necessary. But as an individual experiencing homelessness, you don't necessarily have a clear-cut due process protection when someone comes and takes your property, particularly when they're with the government. This allows for some form of due process for those who have poor access to the court system.
Some we spoke with support the bill.
It's awful to deal with that, especially when those are all the belongings we have in the world, you know? And they just come through and give you 5 minutes literally to pack your stuff.
But packing up my stuff, constantly moving, I mean, it's a bunch of crap.
I really like the concept and the idea of the bill because I think that we can do more good with it in place.
Wendy Garvin runs Unsheltered Utah, which works with people experiencing homelessness.
Just the difference between me having an address or not having an address should not be a reason that you lose all of your rights. The challenges, of course, are that this is going to be a difficult bill to get through this legislature, and it's not the priority of many of our legislative friends, but I think it should be.
The Utah legislature is expected to run a number of bills focused on homelessness. Utah's governor, House Speaker, and Senate President recently sent a letter to Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall demanding more be done where the state would intervene.
This Bill of Rights isn't incompatible with other homeless mitigation efforts at the state and municipal level, but what this is supposed to do is to focus in on the individual rights of those experiencing homelessness. So that way the government has guideposts to remind ourselves who really matters at the end of the day.
Representative-elect Miller's bill will be considered when the legislature begins meeting in just a couple of weeks. At St. Mark's Cathedral in Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.